YouTube, this BUB'S Comics coming at you with an unboxing. So, well, I've already unboxed it, so get that right off the bat. It's a CBCS order. I'm excited about it. I sent off 7 books. So 4 books I sent off to be reholdered because I had them in old CBCS cases, a mix of signature labels and non. And then 3 books I sent off to be graded. Now, I'll start off by saying that there's a long story behind some of the trouble that I had with this order. But let me just make that as succinct as possible. I sent in some books. They have an option called slab only, okay? Now, the way that the website works, generally when you go on there, if you select a certain book that's outside of the tier that's available to that book, then the tier disappears. So let's say you pick a book that is from 1960. That's clearly not a modern book, right? So when you go to select a tier to grade it under, the modern choice will be gone. So because of that, they go ahead and, eliminate everything that you can't use. So I felt pretty safe in assuming that the slab only option, meaning it does not get a grade. It only gets encapsulized and it gets all the information on it, but it doesn't get a grade. So it was my understanding that I would be able to submit it this way. I contacted CBCS via email. I got 1 response, and then with a follow-up question, I didn't get a response. So I went ahead and called their customer service just to make sure that this option was available to me with a book that had no signature, because I had looked on the message boards, the forum for CBCS, and I noticed that some people were saying that this option was available only for signed books that were going to be receiving a signature verification. So I called CBCS, their only number for customer service, and I don't want to say exactly where it routed to, but it was somewhere overseas. I believe it was India, but I don't really know. In any case, the fellow that I spoke with barely understood English, barely spoke English, and I may live in Kentucky, but I'm not from Kentucky, and that's not saying anything about Kentucky, but what I mean to say is that I feel like my English is fairly strong and very plain and very clear most of the time. So it's not like we were having a real, I never have a language barrier or a problem with any other customer service I call. Clearly they were outsourcing their customer service, and if you've ever had to deal with a customer service issue where they've done that, you know what happens. And this was no different. The guy was reading off like a teleprompter. You could tell that he didn't really understand the words he was saying. Like, he could read English and he could speak it, but he didn't understand it. So he didn't know what he was saying. He just kept repeating like a frequently asked questions kind of thing. So I asked him very clearly. I tried to be as clear as possible. Is my book that I'm going to submit for slab only without a signature? Can I get just encapsulation? And the reason that I would want to do this is because I already know that a couple of these books were going to be 0.5s. So what do I need a grade for? It's missing a back cover. If a book's missing a back cover, it's a 0.5. It's that simple. So I already know it's going to be a 0.5 book, so I don't need them to tell me it's a 0.5 book. It's not going to, I'm not paying for that, is my point. So the slab only option is only $20. So I'm like, yep, I'm going to do that. So anyway, like I said, long story short, the guy on the phone assured me that any book qualified that I sent in for the slab only option, if the website let me do it, then I could do it. So I did. I sent it in. And lo and behold, I get an email about 5 days later after I've sent my books in that says, sorry, but these books don't qualify. You're going to have to pony up another $58. And I'm like, $58 total or per book? Or what are you talking about? Or does that count the $20 credit per? And they're like, so I sent a response to that requesting further information. What do you mean $58 total? What's the difference here? Do I have to pay the difference? Or are you giving me the credit for the $20 that you already charged me for? Because they charged me for all of it. So you're going to give me the money for that already charged and then cost me the difference, charge me the difference? So I sent an email back, no response. Then I sent an email back to the first email that I had dealt with, who was like the regional manager, right, for this area, I suppose. And he had sent me the email with the welcome back coupon where you got free fast grading. So you got your book was supposed to be back in 2.5 weeks. which it was. So that's something positive. So anyway, I sent in the books. I get these emails. I'm like, what's going on? So I call customer service again. And once again, you're all the way over to overseas. I got a lady this time. She had the same accent. She didn't understand anything I said, and she was reading from the teleprompter. So same thing happened all over again. And I asked her, and she was like, no, I don't think they qualify. I don't really know. You need to send an email to customer service. I'm like, I already have an email out to customer service. So finally I call, and I had been trying to call the number that was on my original email that was offering me to welcome back, because I've not submitted a book to CBCS in like 3 years because of their customer service issues. And in the email it says new cases, faster turnaround, and improved customer service. So I was like, okay, I believe that, right? So I went ahead and said, okay, I'm sending them in. I got all that done. So I'm calling that guy. He finally answers after I left him like a couple of voicemails, and he had responded to a couple of emails, but not about this issue. So finally he comes back, because my other question was about other things about the new slabs. I had other questions, which he had all answered. So finally he answers this phone, which I couldn't believe. And I told him exactly what I needed done. Anyway, long story short, it got done. They went ahead and charged me for the books to be graded, because apparently slab only option is not available for books that do not have a signature, which makes no sense to me. So you'll charge me $20 and slab a book that has a signature on it and verify the signature, all for $20, which is a great deal. I'm probably going to use that if I understand it correctly at this point. But if I send you a book that doesn't have a signature, that you don't have to authenticate or verify in any way, you won't slab it for the same $20. It should be like $15, but I'm not gonna get into that. So anyway, I got my books back. Overall, I am pleased. I really like the new cases. I have to say they're really nice. They're on par with CGC. I actually maybe like them a little better than a CGC case, and I'll explain why in a minute. So the first book that I got back that was a reholder, and the reholdering was only $10, so how could I not send that in, right? Was let's see, let's make me small and get to the unboxing. Yeah, sure, why not? All right, so the first book I got back was House of Secrets 92, and of course is the first appearance of Swamp Thing. It's signed by Wrightson, and it was already graded at 2.5, so they don't regrade it, of course, so you just get, you know, the same book back. But I really like how tight their holders are. So their interior wells are much closer to the book than a CGC well is. So the book does not shift around hardly at all. And it's an improvement over their old. I don't know if they really changed the wells or just the way that the case holds it. All in all, it's a much tighter fit. Doesn't look like it's stressing the book, and yet it looks nice and secure. They also changed the labels on top. So the old labels were like paper on top, or they were like loose paper, and they only went like halfway across. They went like from here to here because they had clips in the way, so that's no good. They are thinner than a CGC case, slightly, ever so slightly, but they're very strong and very sturdy and very clear. If you know, when you look at the edge of a CGC case, it has that blue kind of tint to it. I've never really cared for that. Some books it looks really nice, but others it's distracting. And the best thing was they got rid of that ugly ass pink red label, whatever it was. Some people call it red. I called it pink because red is red, and I could maybe deal with red, even though that's like the color of danger. But pink was ugly. That old label was just hideous in every way. One thing I like about this in general over CGC is I don't really like that white box around the number, because it draws too much attention to the grade, which to me, unless you're sporting a 9.8 white pages, the grade doesn't really impress me, and I would rather focus on the book and not the grade. So I like the yellow label. It's got tons of information on it. It says verified signature, so now their verified signature program gets a yellow label. Before, only a witness signature got a yellow label, and the verified got the red label. So now everything gets yellow if it's got a signature on it and it's verified. More information on the back. So they give you way more information on the label than CGC does. I would assume not for all books, for at least for this one they do. And then, of course, free grader's notes. So you can go on there, you can put in this thing and get free grader's notes. So CBCS, to me, wins in a lot of ways over CGC. Now, if you want to talk about resale value, I'm not even going to get into that, because now that the new cases have come out, I believe that will start narrowing the gap between the resale prices of the two, because I personally didn't buy CBCS books very often because I thought the cases were so ugly. So now that the cases look good, I would buy a new case for the same price that I'd buy a CGC book. Plus, if the seller provides me the number, I can look up the grader's notes for free and know exactly what's going on with that book. So it gives me even more confidence as a buyer buying a CBCS book than it does a CGC book, because I can look up the grader's notes. So for free, without having to pay $5 before I even buy the book. So there it is, House of Secrets 92, 2.5. I love the case. Of course, the book looks good. Now this book did get encapsulated with a very, very small piece of debris. So this was the only book, and I don't know if you can see it, and of course it needs a pressing, but it's like right there, there's a piece of debris. So it's hard to see, but it is there. There, almost had it. So right there is a piece of debris. It's a little piece of plastic, clearly from the case, but that bothers me a little bit, but not so much, because I have CGC cases that have hair in them and specks of crap in them. So I already know that when you get this process done, there's a chance for that. I also assume that someday that they're going to be changing how they do stuff, and I'll probably want to at some point press and have this pressed and cleaned and regraded. Now, yes, I do press and clean myself, but when you're dealing with a verified signature, you have to send it in the way it is and let them do the work. Otherwise, you lose the yellow label. Or in this case, you would lose the verified. This I could crack and redo, actually, because it's verified, so it's no big deal. But when you have a witness signature, you lose the witness if you crack it. You have to get verified. So anyway, love the book. Someday I'll probably send it back in. That's why I'm not crying over the debris. Here is Batman Adventures Annual number 1. It was a 9.8 white pages. I traded for this book with a friend and got this cool book. So this is the thick holder, because this is an annual and it's a pretty thick book. So one of the questions that I had asked to the regional manager was, are the cases, I think I spoke about this in another video, but are the cases a legacy case for the thicker books? And by legacy, I mean a lot of times a company, when they have a new product line or a new design, they don't implement it across the board at once. They would start out with their standard case, change it, and then if you submitted something that needed a thicker case, you would get the old case until they were sure that this was working, and then they would put out a thicker case. But in their case, he did respond, and he said, nope, all the cases have been changed, all sizes. So this came back in a nice thick case, and it's really thick and sturdy and strong and very clear, much more clear than I think a CGC case has a lot of glare to it, in my opinion, and these don't. These have less glare, and they're very clear, and the plastic is much clearer than CGC has that blue tint to it, and these don't. So I really like that about it. So there's my Batman Adventures number 1. Here is X-Men 94. Again, another book that needs a press and a spine roll fix. So I really need to crack this and work on it, but it's a witness signature, so it's not going to happen anytime soon. I have to send it to them, pay for them to fix it, and I think it would only improve the grade maybe a half point. I think it'd probably get a 3. I don't even think it would get a 3.5 because there's color breaking creases. So if you hold the book just right, you do get like a little rainbow effect to it, but straight on, it's very clear. I love the case, got all the information on the back. Fantastic. That book needs a cleaning and a pressing. But 2.5 white pages, X-Men 94, signed by Chris Claremont, witnessed. Next, and the last of the reholder books, is my Green Lantern Green Arrow. So this is Green Lantern number 76. Of course, famous Neal Adams issue, and there is Neal Adams' signature on it. And again, I love the font. I love everything about the label. Honestly, I like it better than a CGC. I feel like the CGC labels are getting a little too flashy, like they're full of themselves or something. and with the characters on the labels. Some of them look really nice and some of them look really bad, like they got the cheapest art they could get because they didn't want to have to pay someone royalties. That's how it looks to me. So this is nice and clean, extra on the back. And I don't know if this little review or unboxing will get a lot of hate from CGC lovers. The majority of my books are CGC'd, and I intend to send at least 2 more orders to CGC in the very near future for projects that I'm working on. So I got nothing against CGC. I got nothing against CBCS or PGX for that matter. I think they have their place too. But now that CBCS has better cases, they are really in my opinion, almost a dead heat competition with CGC. I like their grading a little bit better. I feel like CGC's grading has been all over the board lately. I personally have books that I know have the wrong grade on them, 100% wrong grade, wrong label color, everything. So I know I personally have experience with CGC's grading being incorrect, just flat out wrong. So far, I haven't had a single issue with any CBCS grade. I feel like they are correct so far, but their cases were butt ugly, and now they look fantastic. Now, I'll also say that CBCS is a hair more expensive than CGC. CGC's return shipping is a little bit cheaper, and CGC's overall cost, if you're a member, which you have to pay for, is less. So, and it's only less by less than $5 a book. So it's not that big of a difference, but if you add enough books together, it makes a difference. So that's something to remember. I think if CBCS lowered their prices by $5 per slab, they would get all my business. I'd have no reason to go anywhere else. So there's the first set. All right, so now on to the books that I got freshly graded that I did not have graded before. So these were raw books I sent in. And the first one I'm particularly proud of because I worked on this myself. This is a Human Torch number 10, and it received a 1.5 conserved label, which is still blue, which is a reason that I'm going to continue to use CBCS because I don't really care for the green label. I don't really care for the purple label. It's almost always the first thing people mention. Like when you ever see a book posted, people are like, oh, it's a shame about that purple label. Oh, it's a shame it's a green label. Well, why should it be a shame? I'm proud of this book the way it is. Just give me a case and give me a label, and you can write this book is beat to hell all over the label. That doesn't bother me at all. Put it in the free grader's notes. That doesn't bother me at all. But don't change the label color to make it seem like, look out, this is purple. Look out, this is green. This is red, whatever. Just give me yellow for a signature book, blue for a not signature book, and I'm good with the rest. And that's what they're doing. So I really like that. So it says here, it's timely, 1942. Human Torch number 10 is a huge grail book for me. Huge. So proud to own it. I worked on it myself, but all I worked on was the cover because the interior pages were all split and detached. Every one of them. So, and it had no staples. So, no staples. So all the pages were out and all the pages are loose. So, I really appreciate how tight they put this in there. And I really worried about it. And they put it in so perfect into the case that you can't even tell that the pages are loose in there because it's a nice tight inner well. I love that. So it says conserved amateur, which is fine. It means I didn't use any solvents or any leaf casting or anything crazy like that. It's just conserved because the only materials I use are tape and staples, and that's it. So that's conserved amateur. Brittle pages, which I was deeply concerned with that they would damage the book while handling it. From what I can tell, no damage. It looks very good. And then it also, so it says amateur conservation includes, and it lists all the things that I did to it. All pages, but it is complete. So with moderate amount of tape, it says. So I try to use only what I needed to use to make it presentable and straight. That was my whole goal, was to make it look like this, and it worked. And I still expected it to get a 0.5 because of all that, and it came back with a 1.5. So I'm very proud of this book. As an amateur conservator of comics, this book is nice to have. I just absolutely love it. It's a huge grail book of mine. I never thought I would own it. And I know people say it all the time, but this book, I mean, that's over a G for this book, and I didn't pay a third that. So I did pretty good. I'm very happy with it, and I don't even know what a 1.5 sells for because you never see one. Like, I think the lowest grade I've seen is a 2 or a 2.5. So it's always hard to gauge the the value, if you will, the resale value of Golden Age books. But I love that blue label, and I think it looks fantastic. So I'm down with that. Next up, we got Bulletman #1. This got a 0.5. I knew it would because no back cover. So with no back cover, there's no doubt that you're going to get a 0.5. So it says 0.5 off-white. See, the other one just says brittle pages. They didn't even give it a color. It's just brittle. Just be careful with it. So this one is Bulletman #1, off-white, 1941. First Bulletman in his own title. Silver metallic cover, which is cool because CGC does not notate that. So it's got a metallic cover in the Bulletman. Can you see that? Yep, there you go. See how it shines, that metal? Very cool. And it's a well-presenting cover. I absolutely love it. This is another book I didn't think I'd get. I had to clean it quite a bit, and it still looks real rough. But it's a 0.5, and it's all about the presentation. It's another one of those thick cases, so I was worried about that because it's a pretty thick book. 64-page special. So, well, then they were just 64 pages. It wasn't special. It was just 64 pages. All right, and the last book in the haul is Phantom Lady #14. This is my, again, 0.5 with cream to off-white pages. Fox Syndicate 1947 with Matt Baker art. And this is the second issue in the run. And it has lingerie panels, which is nice. And, of course, incomplete, missing back cover. That's not an actual cover. That's just a back page ad. But the cover's not there. So, missing the back cover. So, again, I knew it was going to be a 0.5. So there you go. So let's talk just a quick minute. I know this is already running to a long video, but we'll just talk a quick minute about what these books, my overall grade that I'm giving to CBCS. I told you about the customer service issues. After all that, first of all, they never said I'm sorry. That's one thing. And you say, well, what was really their fault? What was really my fault? Well, I had a clear question as to what was available for a tier that they offered. That question got two different answers. It got one answer before I sent it and another answer after I sent it. That deserves an apology of some kind, because I would not have sent these books in to be graded by CBCS had I known that they were not qualifying for the slab-only option. No apology was ever made. And I called him out clearly, and when I ended up speaking to the regional manager, and I told him specifically, I said, you've outsourced your customer service, and you put in the email, three things, right? You put in that you had a new case, you put in that you had a new case, that you had improved customer service, and that you were going to expedite this shipping, and everything was going to be fast and all that good stuff. Well, the shipping was true. I got my books back in 2.5 weeks, so that was fantastic. I loved getting them back fast. But the customer service was freaking nowhere, or wherever it was overseas, and you couldn't deal with it. And they didn't offer the product that they said they were going to offer. But the new cases are really nice. So he said, yeah, we need to fix that site. That's it. He said he looked into it, and he confirmed with tech that, yes, the site shouldn't run that way. I haven't tried it since, but I bet I could go in there right now and get it done again. So anyway, that aside, I'm very happy with the end result product. Some of the cases have a little bit of scuffing on them. That upsets me a little bit too. But if you've ever sent in books to any of the other companies, one time I got books back from PGX where they had been damaged on return shipping. I didn't feel like they were packaged properly enough for return shipping. They were sent in a flat rate, medium-sized box, and they were beat to hell by the U.S. Postal Service, and they were beat so bad that the books broke through the inner well while in shipping on the way back. So that's a knock against PGX's return shipping. Other than that, their customer service is by far the best. Of course, considering they're a smaller operation, it's one-man show kind of thing. So I understand that they should have best customer service, but they do. So that's worth noting. CGC, probably the most professional out of all three. And their customer service, here's the deal with them. They only deal with people who complain. So whenever I've dealt with CGC and I've had a problem, they just rush everything through. They have no quality control of any kind that I've noticed. And it's all about apologizing later and then making it right. Okay? So they still make all the same mistakes, and in my opinion, they intend to make those mistakes. They're just pushing stuff out as fast as they can get it out. And then for the small minority of people who complain and raise a fuss and contact them, then they go back. So I've seen a lot of reviewers and unboxings of CGC where people are like, oh, anyone can make a mistake, but it's what you do after that that counts. No. If you've ever raised kids, you know that yes, anyone can make a mistake, but you have to learn from your mistake and not make that mistake again. And CGC does not do that. CGC makes a mistake, they learn nothing, and then they keep making the mistake because ultimately fewer people complain than is worth changing it for the bottom line. That's my opinion. That's my experience with them. CBCS, they, in my opinion, made a mistake, or helped me to make a mistake, after I did everything I think that could be reasonably expected to clarify what was available. And then they made no apology, no discount of any kind, not even, like I expected, oh, we'll give you 10% off your next order. Man, I'm talking nothing. Freaking crickets. They didn't care. They said that they cared, but then they said, we'll fix it. And all they did by fixing it was charging me more to grade the books, and they charged me the difference. That's the only fixing they did. Then, no discount, no next time we'll make it right. No, sorry. Literally not the word sorry. Never heard it, never saw it in an email. That's kind of crappy. So my feeling is that with CBCS, after all this, love the cases, love the product, in that I love the grading. I think their grading is very good. I love the extra notes. I love the labels. I love the cases. I love the inner well, which I don't think anyone's talked about. I think it's all fantastic. The customer service is only an issue if you need it. If you send in a bunch of books and nothing goes wrong and everything comes back perfect, then you don't need customer service. And who cares how bad their customer service is? But when something happens and you have to call that 1-800 number, good luck. Because you're probably not going to get any satisfaction, and then you have to, like, I called them and said, because they had overcharged me at one point, and I said, you need to fix the overcharge, because they didn't give me the credit. I said, you need to fix the overcharge. I'm sorry, we can't do that. We don't have access to that. Of course you don't, because you're over there, right? So you got no access. So I had to send an email separately for that to their billing department. So it was a mess. But again, if you send in books to CBCS, I don't think you'll be disappointed in them. You'll get back everything. It's very professional. The packaging, the return packaging was great. Very secure. I like CGC's return packaging as well, but I really feel like CBCS, it was perfect. It was totally secure. I really, really liked it. It was still light. It was a good box. So very happy with all of that. CBCS, the product, hopefully you have no problems. Gets a thumbs up. They're fantastic. I give them probably an 8 out of 10 or so. Would have given them a little better grade if it weren't for the scuffs and for the debris in that one. But other than that, absolutely love them, and I know I'll be sending some more books to them, especially my low grade Golden Age books, because I like the grader's notes, and I like the information they put, and I like the label better than CGC's. So that's it. Their customer service, if you can give a 0, they would get a 0. Maybe one hair better, because, the guy was like, oh, well, you should have called me when you had a problem. That's what the guy said. I said, first of all, I did call you. Oh, did you leave a message? Yes. Oh, well, I haven't been away. Okay, so now we'll hear the excuse why you didn't get back to me in 2 days. So, long story short, the customer service is terrible with CBCS, and it's no better, if not worse, than it was 3 years ago when I stopped using them because of their bad customer service. They had lost my book. Took them months. I think I waited almost 9 months to get a book back 3 years ago. And the whole time they were telling me they couldn't find the book, and then finally they found it. And I know I was not the only one that had that issue. And this was before the big move that everybody said that they lost their books in the move. This was before that. So I'm not buying that either. So anyway, that's my story. That's my unboxing. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I'm very happy with the product. Customer service sucked. If you use them, I hope everything goes well, because if it doesn't, you're going to be pretty pissed with the customer service. So that's it. Catch you next time on BUB'S Comics. Remember to read a comic, slab a comic if you like, and don't apologize for the glare. Bye-bye.